Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to North Sydney, Nova Scotia. We are here tonight at the Emera Centre North Side for this Nova Scotia Under-15 Major Hockey League matchup between the Martello Wealth Bandits up here from Bedford this weekend, taking on the Joneljim Cougars here in the first of a doubleheader here this weekend up in beautiful Cape Breton. My name is Luke Diamond. You're watching High Button Sports here this evening. Thank you for tuning in as these teams continue to embark on their post-East Coast Ice Jam portion of the season. Postseason implications, whatever they may be for either side, getting ever more real by the game. In the Martello Bandits' case, they are fifth in the league. They have 12 wins this season, good for 35 points. And they are on a tear. They've won 3 straight. They had a good start to their post-Ice Jam schedule here on Wednesday night in Halifax. They beat the Halifax Wolverines 3-1. That snapped Halifax's 8-game win streak. So if you want to talk about statement games heading into the latter portion of the season here in under 15 major hockey, then that is certainly one. Now the Bandits sit 2 points back of the Wolverines for 4th in the league. They can leapfrog them with a regulation win here tonight against the Joneljim Cougars here, who are trying to turn a new leaf here in this post-Ice Jam portion of the season. They went 2-1 in the round robin at the East Coast Ice Jam. Much of that thanks to the return of star forward Cohen Geezer. He had 4 points. He had 5 points, including 4 goals in 4 games at the tournament. And with a couple of injuries in the Cougars lineup here for the next few weeks, Geezer is going to be a more than welcome addition to this club that's desperate for some goals and desperate for some wins as they sit 9th of 12 teams in the Under-15 Major Hockey League here as we tune in here down toward the ice for the national anthem here in North Sydney. The Cougars are looking for their first regular season win of the calendar year 2026. They found a pair at the Ice Jam last week, trying to get their season back on track here against a smoking hot Martello Bandits team. They have 2 chances to do that here this weekend. As we begin our first of 2 doubleheader games here, let's meet our starting goaltenders. Between the pipes for the Bandits this evening, and the goal to your right, Jerome Doucette. He's 5-2 this year with a .442 goals against average. And in the home net for the Cougars, Lane Wambach gets a nod. He's 4-5 in 9 games played. His 4.00 goals against average is the 16th best metric in the under 15 Nova Scotia League. As we get underway here at the Emera Center North Side, in the white jerseys to your left is the host Cougars, and in the navy blue to your right is the Martello Bandits. As the Cougars step on to their first shift of the hockey game here, getting the pressure right on. Wyatt Wilson leading the charge, as it is gotten on out by Martello, and up out of the zone, that's Linus Braun playing around with the puck for the Cougars, wearing number 27. The right-handed shooting defenseman will throw it up toward the other end of the neutral zone and throw it down the ice as players from both teams get their first changes in of the hockey game. Going up with the puck, there's the man, Cohen Gieser, his first game on home ice in more than 2 months. He was suspended for a lengthy 10-game period in the Monktonian tournament in mid-November and got his return to action in the first game of the Ice Jam. As mentioned, he had an excellent tournament, scoring 5 points, including 4 goals in 4 games. As we're going to get our first penalty of the hockey game here, it's going to be a hooking call. It'll be charged to the Cougars' Ty Timmins. So the Martello Bandits will get the first look on their man advantage here this evening in North Sydney. Taking that draw is Maddox Burke. Burke leads the team in scoring. He is 6th in the Nova Scotia Under-16 League. In points this year, he is 35 in 19 games played. The Bandits win the draw and are comfortably in and set up. That's Braxton Robertson, quarterback in the power play, wearing number 3. He's played over to his teammate Burke, who is playing the close side half wall, but is picked off there by a penalty killer from the Joneljim Cougars. Is shot 200 feet down in behind Jerome Doucette's net. Robertson will lead the rush back the other way for the Bandits. Tried to drop it back. That's Gieser out on the penalty kill, a very active stick. Will force them to try again from in behind their goal line. Skating up with it is Jackson Camus. Camus lets a backhand go, mishandling that right off the start, and he scores! An early one on the power play for the Bandits. Cleaning up the garbage in front of the net was Drew Cameron, off an excellent individual effort by Jackson Camus. And just 2 minutes into the hockey game, the Bandits are on the board here in North Sydney. It's 1-0. It's a good start to that penalty kill for the Cougars. Got it down a couple of times, kept them pinned back. But a player like Camus can turn things around in a jiffy for the Martello Bandits. 2nd on the team in scoring, 7th in the league. 17 goals and 33 points on the year. That'll be his 17th assist as well once they ring it up on the score sheet here just below us in the broadcast booth. But the Bandits will keep things rolling here to start this hockey game. They're up by an early 1-0 lead here on the road against the Joneljim Cougars. But right back in with it into the other zone is the Cougars. That was Zenon Parks twirling and throwing it back toward the goal line for his teammates. Down to Kellen Buckley, the centerman wearing number 12. Buckley will throw a Bandits player to the ice, but nonetheless, Martello will work their way back up toward their own blue line with it. But Parks, he's a speedy player for the Cougars. Throws a hit there after the interception of the puck. A second breakout attempt for the Bandits, but they once more give it away, and that was Zenon Parks trying to cut toward the net. Buckley, an active toe there by Jerome Doucette to kick that out of harm's way with his left skate. Up across the line here. Here's Enzo Chandler. These teams met once earlier this season down in Cole Harbour on October 26. The Bandits won that one by a 4-1 score, and it was Enzo Chandler who had a pair of goals in that winning effort very early on the season for Martello, as Jerome Doucette will gobble up a wrist shot from a Cougars attacker. Draw will come to the left of the visiting goalie. In to take the face-off is Luke McNeil in the O-zone, but is won by his centerman counterpart for the Bandits, and Martello is up through the neutral zone and into Joneljim territory. Good back check there by Wyatt Wilson, plays it in behind the goal, muscled up across the line into roughly center ice in front of the players' benches, as Braun will fork the backhand up high into the air and will get set up at his post on the blue line. Martello pinned down low, a few fresh legs on here for the Joneljim Cougars. Has gotten up through the neutral zone. Back to play is Vinny Sims. Sims, the left-handed D, takes a big bump there. Joseph Ayotte steals the puck, and he's going to have a look here. O-zone turnover for the Bandits. Securing possession of that puck. There's the goal scorer, Drew Cameron, scoring only 2 minutes into this hockey game moments ago on the power play. Beautiful assist by Jackson Camus as the Cougars try to get it up and out of their zone. Joneljim has had a couple of good offensive shifts to start this hockey game, but they will ice the puck on that instance and will have to come all the way back down to their zone. As mentioned, Joneljim had a strong ice jam showing, especially since their last few regular season games have been rocky. They've only won 3 of their last 11 here in regular season play, but they were 2-1 at the group stage in Bedford last week as it's a pass out front. Cameron right at the back door again, send them up was Maddox Burke. Forming this top line for the Martello Bandits, Lane Wambach had to be very sharp in net there for Joneljim, but he'll make the save and come up with the big one. They're joined there on this first line by Grigor O'Hearn. For the Bandits, they've done a lot of scoring, as keep in mind Cameron is 3rd on this team in scoring and tied for 10th in the league. So 3 of the top 10 scorers in Nova Scotia under 15 hockey play here for the Martello Bandits. And it's a collision of bodies up along the boards. There's going to be a call from the referee behind the play. It's a boarding call. I believe a Bandits player went in there late. You could hear the pleas from one of the players' benches there, and indeed it is a Martello Bandit heading to the penalty box for 2 minutes or less. It is Drew Cameron who will sit for that time. For the first time this evening, we'll get a look at the Joneljim Cougars power play, and Cohen Geezer is in to take that face-off for the home team. He's going to lose it to the Bandits. Right in there is Avery Johnston. He had 3 goals in 2 games in the last 2 regular season games a couple of weeks ago now for the Cougars in that homestand against the Halifax Wolverines. They lost both of those games in the 3rd period, but Johnston really had an excellent showing that weekend, up to 7 goals and 4 assists on the season. Did a lot of scoring that weekend, and he's being rewarded for that effort up here on the first unit with a recently returned Cohen Geezer. Now here's Sam Graves, the captain for the Cougars. Backdoor scores! And who else? Cohen Geezer puts it home and ties the game on the power play for Joneljim. We're all tied up at 1. And who else would it be? The fans here at Emera Center North Side in Sydney have missed the many dimensions of hockey that Geezer plays for this team. He's a big body, plays very physical. Centerman wins face-offs when he needs to, and most importantly of all, scoring. He has 5 goals in his as many games played for this hockey team. And he's going to beat Jerome Doucette early on in this one here, as we're just over 5 minutes into this hockey game, and both teams have already found the back of the net on the power play. Sam Graves will cough up the puck there to Jackson Camus, going wide side for Ayotte, and that is shot up and over the net, trying to challenge Lane Wambach immediately after the Cougars found the back of the net. Cohen Geezer just moments ago tying this game on the power play. And if you want an idea of how big of an impact Geezer has on the Cougars, he missed 10 games of hockey, and heading into this game, he was still tied for 2nd for the team scoring lead. The only player ahead of him in scoring was defenseman Sam Graves, the captain, who had 19 points. Geezer put up 13 points before his suspension in November, and that's Geezer with the puck again. Tried to make a shimmy shake move around the Bandits defender, but will give it away as some players go for a change. Here's Maddox Burke. Burke, the leading scorer for this Bandits team. 6 in the league, as mentioned. Also has 18 goals on the year. That's good for a tie for 5th as he'll drive to the net. Cameron digging for gold right on top of Wambach's crease there. He's already had a few great looks at that this evening here for the Bandits. He scored on one occasion on the power play. It's passed across to Nathan McLean, the captain for the Bandits. That bounces away. Rebound. Wambach got a toe on that and it bounces wide. Good shift here from the first line for Martello to follow up that goal from the Cougars. As Cameron tried to make a move, is stripped by Graves, picked off at center ice by McLean. He'll return the favor and gain the line, flicks it high into the zone off the glass. Picking that up as the Bandits go for a change is Dylan Dixon for the Cougars. The Cougars are missing one of their key defenders here this weekend, and they will for the next 2 to 3 weeks due to injury. Marty McLeod is out hurt. Walking in is Quinn Smith, individual effort, and Wambach will cover up. Great effort. McLeod, as mentioned, is missing for the Cougars. Also hurt for 2 to 3 weeks for this team is one of their centermen, Ethan Marsh. So replacing them in the lineup tonight is the return, of course, of Cohen Geezer, but also Peyton McKenzie, wearing number 25 for the Cougars tonight, is an affiliate player. He'll make a season debut for Joneljim. And it's a tie-up off the draw. For a moment, it looked like Beckett Schlender for the Bandits would get a shot off, but he was denied of that chance. Parsons lets it go from the point for the Bandits. Tries to keep it in, will go D to D, kicked up to a stick there, and a big collision at center ice. Levi Harris throws a huge hit. Come down the other way, Zenon Parks. He's joined there by Kellen Buckley. Good stick there, though, by Jonathan Stewart, who is defending for Martello. Collision at center ice. Sam Graves played it back for his teammate Buckley. He'll circle back to the face-off dot on the close side in his own zone. Played on up the ice. Zenon Parks had a lead. He likes to hang up there looking for that stretch pass. Cale Parsons will go in defending against Parks, who tumbles into the boards, losing a stick and was a bit slow to get up, but he'll hit off the ice now. Sam Graves looks to enter the zone, but he sees his teammate Parks was lagging behind the play and will have to retreat back to his own end, but he's going to cough up the puck there to O'Hearn, who is forechecking for the Bandits, and Martello will get it in down deep. It is stolen there. That's Maddox Burke. He threw the backhand well wide of the Cougars net as this first line comes on for Martello. Was going to be a high stick against the Bandits, but is waved off as the Cougars grab it. Into the zone with that puck is Wyatt Wilson. So player goes down in front of the Cougars bench. Couple of hits thrown there. Throwing that one was Nate O'Coin. He's going to retreat back to the line as the Bandits dump it in. 5:58 left in the first period here in this matchup between the Cougars and the Bandits. Martello head struck first. Scored only 2 minutes into the hockey game, thanks to Drew Cameron. Oh, what a move by Maddox Burke. We've seen a couple of these early on in this period. His intended target was Maximus Young in front of the net. He did not miss by much. Burke, one-man highlight reel here so far in this hockey game. Very sly and slick with the puck on his stick. But after Martello scored to make it 1-0, Cohen Geezer scored his first goal back from suspension and regular season action, at least for the Joneljim Cougars. That one also coming on the power play, and that's where we stand right now in a tie game with 5:14 remaining in North Sydney. Shots are 10-6 right now for the Martello Bandits, but the draw will come all the way back down to the Bandit zone to the right of the goaltender, Jerome Doucette. In to take that draw is Kellen Buckley for Joneljim. He's going to lose the face-off to Nate O'Coin. O'Coin will get back to his defenseman. Is picked off by Dylan Dixon at the boards. Goaltender couldn't quite handle it. Digging out in front of the net is Avery Johnston. He likes to score from that area. He's going to pick up the puck there. Johnston in tight, getting the shoulder on that is Doucette. There's a Bandits player hurt on the play. He's finally getting up, but the puck will be covered up by Doucette there. I believe that is Levi Harris, the defenseman, who is down on the ice. He is in pain. Both of his gloves are off and the trainers are out for the Bandits. So pardon me, it's not Levi Harris, it's Liam Labuki down on the ice, number 16. I had seen number 6, which is what Harris wears. But Lubuki is down and getting attention from the medical staff here for the Bandits. Players will take a quick break here as Lubuki gets assessed. He is still down on the ice. 4:54 to go in this first period. Cougars, a couple good chances here on the last few shifts. They're not quite going away here. Back on their heels after that early Bandits goal, but they tied it up. And that's where we stand right now as Lubuki looks to be getting up to his feet. It's good to see him up under his own power, and he will head to the dressing room for some further evaluation. Face-off will come inside the Bandit zone, I believe. As the players head back out here onto the ice, the Bandits were 1-2 in the first round of the Ice Jam. They lost games to the Truro Bearcats and the Prince County Warriors of PEI before defeating the Eastern Hitmen of Newfoundland to make it into the round of 16 crossovers, but they lost their crossover game to the Eastern Express of PEI. Their tournament ended rather prematurely, although they are top team here in Nova Scotia. As mentioned, they could move into 4th place in the league with the win tonight. They only trail the Halifax Wolverines, whom they beat the other night by 2 points. Remember, in this league, a regulation win gets you 3 points as compared to 2 in a lot of other minor hockey leagues. You get 2 points if you win an overtime or shootout, and a point if you lose in either overtime or shootout. Stumped in by Hayes for the Bandits as the play moves the other way. Avery Johnston caught up in a battle with Camus in front of the scorer's bench. Comes all the way back to Dixon in his own zone in Joneljim territory. Dixon, he takes a tough hit along the boards there. That's always a scary looking play along the bench. And a head contact penalty is going to be called behind the play. Dixon looks okay, but his head went off the stanchion in next to his own bench, right at center ice there. Thankfully, we see that a lot in most rinks now that are like that, where the stanchions are padded in case a player does make contact. A very whiplashy-like effect hitting your head on that, but it looks like Dixon is okay. I think one of the coaches is checking in with him on the bench, but the play is going to result in a head contact penalty against the Bandits, and the Cougars are going to go to the power play as Johnston will drive the net and the puck comes loose. Jerome Doucette was digging at it, and he's going to play it back out front to his teammate Dylan Barry. Barry will play it up north for Linus Braun. Back to Barry from distance. That just rolled wide of the net. Cohen Geezer was rooting for it in front of the net with Johnston. That is a very intimidating 1-2 attack on top of the crease here. Geezer and Johnston both like to hang out in that area simultaneously for the Joneljim Cougars on the power play, and they almost scored their second power play goal in as many attempts here in the first period. Remember, they scored on their first and only power play attempt here this evening earlier on in the period. Geezer scored as Graves scores! Sam Graves, another power play marker for the Cougars, and they'll take their first lead of the hockey game. It's 2-1. And that's the captain, his 20th point of the season, his 7th goal of the 2025-2026 campaign. He's 5th amongst defensemen in the league in scoring, and a play like that shows wide. He is not afraid to skate right in there and try to beat the goalie. And that time he beat Jerome Doucette to the low blocker on the power play. And the Cougars are up by a goal here on home ice in North Sydney. It's 2-1. And a pair of Bandits defensemen collide behind the play. They both went down in front of their goaltender's net. They go D to D, get back up pretty swiftly and get it up to their forwards. It's played up ahead for Maddox Burke. It's a 2-on-1. Burke! Great pad save by Lane Wambach. Burke likes to make those plays on the offhand there. Very shifty, has made some excellent passes here this evening. And Burke is going to go down behind the play. A penalty coming up to the Joneljim Cougars. And now the Bandits are going back to the power play. There have been 3 power plays this evening so far. All of them have ended in a goal. So the Bandits will get a real good chance to tie this hockey game here late in the first period. So it's going to be Linus Braun, the guilty party on that penalty. It's a tripping call. And the draw will be to the left of Wambach. It's won by the Bandits. It is back to the defenseman Braxton Robertson, hanging out up toward the blue line. Down for Maddox Burke. Burke's going to break in with it. Challenges Ty Timmins. Burke in behind the net. He got it into the feet of Jackson Camus. Camus couldn't handle it. He'll get it back to Robertson at the point. There's going to be a penalty in front of the net called now. It's a head contact signaled by the ref. And I believe that'll end the Bandits' power play. So we're going to get some 4-on-4 action here. Only 18 seconds had elapsed in the Martello Bandits man advantage. So 4-on-4 action here in North Sydney. That'll do out pretty near the entirety of the remainder of this period. But now get this, it's going to be a 4-minute head contact call. We see this sometimes. That will mean once the Cougars penalty expires in 1:35, there's going to be a power play for Joneljim. That'll be about 1:18 long. It'll mostly carry over in the second period as Cohen Geezer cuts in toward the net. Great pad save by Jerome Doucette. Cohen Geezer has been sniffing all around that net here all game long. Every shift he's out there, it seems, he's making something happen for this Cougars team. Of course, he already has that goal tonight. He almost scored on that last power play opportunity. He didn't need to that time, though, as his teammate Sam Graves put it into the back of the net for him. And that's where we stand now. The Cougars up 2-1. Walking out with it is Lachlan O'Neill. He had won the draw, and he maintained possession of the puck, stepped around the Bandits player, and that's one thing you'll see a lot of in 4-on-4 action like this. For any NHL fans there that watch the 3-on-3 action, when the game goes to overtime, all the open ice here really makes it an advantage for the most offensive players in the game, as Quinn Smith will be challenged off the puck there by Dylan Dixon of the Cougars, but the Bandits will now secure some possession in the other zone here. Digging for the puck in front of the net was Smith, but the Cougars are back up the other way with it. Here's Avery Johnston. Another 50 seconds left in 4-on-4 action. Johnston is out there with Lachlan O'Neill as his centerman. O'Neill is checked off the puck and contained, so the Bandits will take back possession in their own zone and go up the ice with it. That's going to be Braxton Robertson up with the puck. He is sticked off it by Geezer. Came to Sam Graves. His first attempt getting out was unsuccessful. We'll play it behind the net for Vinnie Sims. Sims is going to be cleaned by Quinn Smith there behind the plate. Took a huge check by the Bandits forward. 18 seconds to go here on 4-on-4 action. As Zenon Parks cuts in. Beautiful effort. Almost snuck the backhand past Jerome Doucette. 40 seconds left in the period as Parks is knocked down by a defender in front of Martello's goal. Sam Graves is still out there. Graves has the go-ahead goal right now and will enter the zone on the close side half wall. He's going to dodge a check there. Hayes was looking to throw a big one. Now the Cougars are on the power play. It's 5-on-4 now with the extra man out of the box for Joneljim. Sam Graves making a move. Will it distract? And it's a shot from a tight angle there from Geezer, I believe. And it is knocked down the ice. It's a clean clear as now the Bandits are killing the penalty. Only 7 seconds left in the period. And I believe they will just wind it down to cap off the first 15 minutes of this hockey game. The Bandits struck first. Drew Cameron found the back of the net only 2 minutes in. But two of the big players for the Cougars lighting the lamp in this first period. Cohen Geezer, his first goal back in regular season action for the Cougars. And with the go-ahead goal, Sam Graves, both coming on the power play. After 15 minutes of play, the host side up by a score of 2-1. Both teams will take a water break, and so will we. We'll be back in just a moment for the second period on High Button Sports. And welcome back to our Nova Scotia Under-15 Major Hockey League coverage here on High Button Sports. After one period of play, the Joneljim Cougars with 2 unanswered goals in the power play to jump to a 2-1 lead as we head into the second period here at the Emera Centre Northside, North Sydney, the first of 2 back-to-back games here this weekend in Cape Breton. Second game will be early here Sunday morning. Same place, 11:15 a.m. puck drop. Right now the Cougars are on the power play. Another minute and 20 to go as first small portion of the man advantage carried over from the end of the first period as Joneljim got it a bit close to Jerome Doucette's net toward the Bandits' goal, but it is dumped down by a penalty killer all the way down the other side. Linus Braun was the first player there for the Cougars, but got some immense forechecking pressure there by Gregor O'Hearn of the Bandits, and he's going to head off the ice after a big first shift to open this second period on the Bandits' penalty kill. They need a kill here to break the pattern of getting scored on the power play. On their first 2 penalties, they got scored on both times, but they have another 36 seconds to kill on this Cougars power play to keep this game within 1 goal and to keep it within a comeback range. As waiting behind the net for the Cougars is Linus Braun. Braun's going to play it up for Geezer. Geezer will gain the line, thought about dumping it in, but a good active stick there by a Bandits penalty killer will delay that. It's finally dumped in. Only 10 seconds left now on the Joneljim power play. Good pressure behind the net. Breaking that up is Ty Timmins. Timmins battling back there with Lachlan O'Neill. O'Neill played it back to Vinny Sims. Sims mishandled it, and the Bandits will get it up with McLean stepping out of the box for the Bandits. And we're back to 5-on-5 action. Nathan McLean, the Bandits captain, was off for 4 minutes on a head contact penalty, but it is killed off, and it's still only a 1-goal game as there's a collision in the high slot in the Cougar zone. Lachlan O'Neill is up with it. Partial 3-on-1 materializes. Kellen Buckley into the breadbasket of the goaltender Jerome Doucette, who took a body or a leg up high. It was from his own teammate as Jackson Camus was coming back with a head of steam to back check and try and break up the play as the Cougars were down the odd man rush. He seems okay though, although he looked a bit shaken up by it right after he made the save on Avery Johnston. But everything's all right and well for the Bandits, and will win the draw in the D zone and are back up the ice with it. Stepping into the zone is Maximus Young. Young wearing number 27, the big power forward for this Martello Bandits team. Out there on the line with Joseph Ayotte. Ayotte drives to the net, joined by Nate O'Coin as well. Behind the Cougars net is Luke McNeil, centerman for the Cougars. Helped out there by Parks on the far side. Played out front. Oh, there was the shot from Nate O'Coin, and he fanned on it, and that ended up rolling wide of the goal, and the helmet's going to go off. And I believe that's a league rule. Wyatt Wilson is without the helmet after taking a hit in the corner. He's going right to the bench, I believe. He asked the ref very quickly whether he could stay in the play, and I think I heard him telling him that he had to bolt for the bench here on the long change in the second period, nonetheless in your own zone for the Joneljim Cougars. But Joneljim gets the puck out without any other harm done here. Lachlan O'Neill also at the end of a shift himself, as some Cougars players will change up. It's up for Nate O'Coin. O'Coin will gain the line. He's joined there by Ayotte. Ayotte is blocked away by the goaltender Wambach. It's a one and done. The Cougars are back up out of the zone with it on the counterattack. Zenon Parks enters the zone. He's going in 1-on-2. He's joined by O'Neill now. Kellen Buckley, that's off the inside of the skate of McLean. And over into the corner where Marshall Hayes will recover his D partner. McLean and Hayes going back and forth. Hayes doesn't have any options, so he'll go D to D one more time. It's finally played up to Enzo Chandler, the right winger. Stretch pass, good eye for Maddox Burke way up the ice. Burke was contending with a bouncing puck there, so he has to go in a one-on-one battle against Dylan Dixon. Burke is still caught in deep behind there, and it finally works its way out in the vicinity of Lane Wambach's net, and Wambach will cover that puck up with 15:47 to go in the second period. No scoring yet in the middle frame here in North Sydney. All 3 goals coming on different power plays in the first frame. It was a high-scoring start to the game. 2 goals in the first 5 minutes, 1 for each team. Draw now will come to the right of Lane Wambach and is won by the Cougars in their own zone. High up the glass here, that was shot by Linus Braun. Cohen Geezer was close to it, but across the goal line before he could get to it, so it's going to come back the other way. A lot of leagues have adopted hybrid icing. We saw a lot of that during our coverage of the East Coast Ice Jam, where hybrid icing was used in the U16 and U18 male divisions. U15 division, though, typically stays to the old style as soon as it crosses the line. That was the case there. Draw is won by the Bandits, and that is up off a stick. Cameron got the toe on that, but I believe it actually deflected the puck high up above the net rather than a shot that would have at least come a bit closer in the net. Vinny Sims missed it on the pinch. It's a 3-on-1 for the Bandits coming the other way. Cameron wide side for Burke. Pad rebound. Oh, a pair of huge stops for Lane Wambach. It's going to be a penalty behind the play as the Bandits, after that 3-on-1 rush and a couple of huge stops for Wambach, will head to the power play. It's going to be a tripping minor charged to Linus Braun for the Cougars. He had a penalty in the first period as well. An unlucky game for him in terms of going to the box. So the Bandits will get their 3rd power play of the evening. They scored on their first opportunity when Drew Cameron found the back of the net. Their second attempt only lasted 18 seconds until they took a penalty themselves. Oh, a great opportunity. That was off the side of the net, right off the draw. Jonathan Stewart trying to sneak it short side and Wambach. So potentially this will be the second full power play chance for the Bandits. It's off the blocker of Wambach, a long distance shot off the stick of Cale Parsons, right in front of the net, digging at it, and it is covered up. Somehow Lane Wambach stretched right across the crease to cover that up. I believe that was Drew Cameron driving to the net that time for the Bandits, either him or Joseph Ayotte. It's the second power play unit out for the Bandits right now, as Maddox Burke and company were out on the ice at the end of his shift when the Cougars penalty happened, and it's cleared down the ice by Joneljim. They won't change up yet, but the Bandits will set up in behind their goal with 1:25 left to go on their power play here as we approach the midway mark of the second period. Stolen by Lachlan O'Neill on the shorthanded. Oh, driving to the net was Kellen Buckley. It slid wide of Jerome Doucette, the goaltender. And Doucette actually lost his stick there. It's still laying about 10 feet from him over to his left, not quite within his reach. See, we'll wait for the perfect opportunity to go out and get it, but the Cougars were still holding on to the puck, so he didn't want to risk leaving his crease to go get his stick. As the Bandits will come out the other way, and the goaltender Doucette will finally retrieve his stick, with the Bandits securing zone possession. But only for a second. Vinny Sims will slap it along the boards and wind it out down the ice with 37 seconds left in the Linus Braun minor. First unit out for the Martello Bandits now. Braxton Robertson, the defenseman with the puck, will quarterback this power play. It is right up for Jackson Camus. He's going to sneak in, long for the back door. Off a skate, McLean jabbing at it. Loose in the crease, scores! And who else for the Bandits to clean up the loose pucks? Drew Cameron, an almost carbon copy of his first period goal. And it's another power play goal in this hockey game, and the second for Drew Cameron this evening, and this one will tie it in the second period. That came with only 16 seconds left in the minor. Cougars put up a really good penalty kill, but the Bandits only put on their first unit late with their big scorers like Drew Cameron, Jackson Camus, and Maddox Burke all teaming up together to make that goal happen. The Bandits are very good at that, wreaking havoc in the crease of the other team. And that was certainly the case that time. Drew Cameron always knowing where to put that stick for the Bandits, and he has a pair of goals tonight. He's up to 15 on the season for the Bandits. And we got a brand new hockey game here as we approach the midway point of the second period here in North Sydney. The draw will come to the left, though. Lane Wambach and is won by the Bandits in the O-zone. Back to McLean, swung up out front. Maximus Young had some time and space there, but the puck just missed him from his passer. Nathan McLean will skate into the zone for Maximus Young. That's off the skate of O'Coin. Working back to O'Coin. Scores! And I believe that went off Sam Graves, who was sliding back to try and break up the play. He had lost his stick, and he gave a couple of taps to his goaltender. Perhaps an apology after that one. And you get bounces like that sometimes. And in this case, the Bandits strike again, less than a minute apart. They find back-to-back goals and take the lead for the first time since early in the first period. And it might have only been about 30 seconds apart. I can't quite remember the first or the time on the tying goal by Drew Cameron. We'll see who that goal goes to. Nate O'Coin was driving the net, but throwing it toward him was Maximus Young on the 2-on-1 attempt for the Bandits. And they will jump ahead to a 3-2 lead. They go bang, bang, and are up by 1. Now, the PA announcer saying that the goal will go to Marshall Hayes of the Bandits. I'm not 100% sure if he was in on the play. I believe that was Maximus Young. We will see if there is a change in the scoring thereafter. But nonetheless, the goal stands. An unlucky bounce for the Cougars, though. Going off Sam Graves, who is sliding back. One of this team's go-to defenders. And no matter if you're the best, you get a little unlucky sometimes. And that's what happened for Joneljim on that instance, as they have a big face-off here in their own zone. Trying not to let this momentum shift sink them too bad, as there's still a lot of hockey left to play here on home ice, and they have a couple goals already. And Sam Graves is right back out in the ice for the Cougars. His shot was wide of the net. Almost stripped of the puck there at center ice by Stewart as the puck wound around the boards. There's a tie-up at center ice, but there's no call. Breaking into the zone is the Bandits' Jonathan Stewart. Stewart dropping it back for Robertson, and that's going to fall behind the goaltender Wambach. He's reaching behind him to make sure no loose puck squirted in behind and into the net, but that did not happen. It was not even in the goal crease when the players finally found out where the rubber was. But the draw will come to the left to Wambach with 11:54 left in the second period. Just moments ago, the Bandits adding a pair of goals. They were down 2-1 early in the second period, but they struck twice in about a 30-second span to take their second lead of the hockey game, leading by a score of 3-2. Taking a tumble right off the draw is Lachlan O'Neill. He's a big forward for this team. Heard that one as he fell down. Stumped into the zone by Beckett Schlender. Down into the corner, it's Sam Graves. In behind the goal, Kellen Buckley leading the breakout up and out of the zone. Straight up through center ice in pursuit of the puck. It was waved off with Zenon Parks. Parks is the first forward on it for the Cougars as Dylan Berry let it rip from the left side point. And it is into the chest to Doucette. And we get a couple shoves in behind the play there. Lachlan O'Neill was in the middle of that. Perhaps he was having some words with a Bandit there. Remember, O'Neill had gone down about 20 seconds ago during the face-off in Joneljim's zone. He'll stay on the ice over on the wing of Buckley. Kellen Buckley in to take the draw against Drew Cameron of the Bandits. And it is won by Buckley for the Cougars. Just dodging some pressure there. It's the outlet pass, breakaway. Maddox Burke is in. Scores! Maddox Burke, 19th of the year. And the Bandits score again here in the second period as the offense explodes in the middle frame for the visitors. And they will extend their lead to 2 here against the Cougars and are up by a 4-2 score. And we know Maddox Burke, he's one of the best goal scorers in the league going into this game, tied for 5th in goals. He's one short of 20 on the year. The top scorer on this team as well, 6 in league scoring heading into this one, as the offense has just come out to play this period for the Martello Wealth Bandits from Bedford. And they're going to keep the foot on the gas pedal down low in Cougars territory. So they're really struggling this period. Throwing a huge hit there in behind. The play is a scoring opportunity down the other way for Dylan Barry. Throwing a hit way back was Marshall Hayes. Threw a massive hit on a Cougars player in front of the Bandits bench. And it was interesting to watch there as the Cougars went on the 2-on-1 the other way. The Cougars player who had gotten hit held on to Hayes' stick and ripped it out of his hands as he was throwing the hit, and he had lost it as he went to skate away. Hayes was pretty upset about that one and came back to return another shove to that player after hitting him. So things going very much the Bandits' way. 3 unanswered goals in about a 4-minute span apart. They had taken the lead with a pair of goals, starting with a power play goal at about the 13.5-minute mark of this second period. They scored about 30 seconds after that to take the lead. And just moments ago, Maddox Burke, the offensive leader on this hockey team, made it 4-2 as we get some more pushing and shoving on the close side boards. There's been some emotion between a lot of players on these teams here this period. Some extracurricular for sure. In the middle of that is Cohen Geezer. He is never afraid to back down from an altercation. Almost to a fatal extent, of course. He had that lengthy suspension that he served, costing him half of the Cougars season. He's going to keep exchanging words with Nate O'Coin of the Bandits. They're both going to head to the penalty box. We'll stay at 5-on-5 action. 9:57 left to play in the second period in North Sydney. The referee's going to quickly hash something out with the score before play resumes. Cougars trying to find their footing here again this season. They've lost 4 straight games, trying to avoid it being 5. Had a great start to this game, being up 2-1 after 20 minutes. But they got a hole to dig themselves out of now as the Martello Bandits have really found a way to fill the net here in the last 4 or 5 minutes here of this second period. So Cohen Geezer and Nate O'Coin in the box with coincidental minor penalties. They were pushing and shoving in the Cougar zone. Play will stay at 5-on-5, but the Bandits controlling most of this period. They already have 22 shots in this hockey game, but the Cougars get dangerously close in on Doucette's net toward the Bandits' goal. Avery Johnston, Lachlan O'Neill on that line here for Joneljim. 2 big disruptors for this hockey team that really work well together. You see them helping out each other on the penalty kill units. Especially, we've seen him score in those situations before as Johnston heads off the ice. Picking it up is the captain, Nathan McLean, for the Bandits. And away with it is Jackson Camus. And he thought he was over and home free. He was on a 2-on-1 with Maddox Burke, who had just scored moments ago. And it would be hard for the Cougars at this point in the game to keep a rush like that out of the net, given the talent of those 2 young hockey players. But they get a break there from the linesman as the Bandits go offside, and the draw will come all the way back to their own blue line. 8:55 left in the second period. Draw is won by the Bandits. Good shimmy shake there by Marshall Hayes. We've seen a lot of him this game, mostly on the physical side. Oh, and a lot of big hits here for this Bandits team. Keeping them in it. Maddox Burke was breaking through the middle of the net. He's going to be tied up in behind Lane Wambach, and that's going to net the cage off its moorings. He was in a bit of a wrestling match there with Vinny Sims, the defenseman for the Cougars. And as the whistle is blown, they disperse and will head for the draw in the neutral zone adjacent to the Bandits bench. Draw is won by Martello. And McLean will take it into the zone. Shot is wide. Gregor O'Hearn throwing that back in deep. Reaching for it was Drew Cameron. Cameron couldn't get a stick on it. Rather, that's Maximus Young wearing number 27. Young may have been the scorer on that third goal. I don't know if that's been 100% decided here yet. And stepping up in the play is Braun. Oh, good individual opportunity there. Jerome Doucette had to be sharp to make the save. Caught in behind the net there with Parks, and Zenon Parks will come out with the puck. O'Neill lets it go, tried to slip it through the wickets. It's in behind the goal now for Kellen Buckley. He's in one-on-one against Hayes. Buckley getting some help there by Lachlan O'Neill. Buckley still rooting for it. He's caught up by a pair of Bandits players. And finally, Martello is up and out of the zone. Pass picked up at center ice and chopped down by Cale Parsons, who I believe was in there. Linus Braun now skating it out of the zone. Linus Braun will break in on the close side half wall. Cuts in. Oh, tried to sneak it through the 6-hole of the goaltender, Jerome Doucette. And he was able to squeeze it against his body just enough to make the save. And the draw will come to his right as those coincidental minors against the players Cale Parsons and Cohen Geezer will head back to their benches. 7:14 to go in this period. Braxton Robertson tried to clear it out for the Bandits, but it's kept in. Good stick by Dylan Dixon, and now it's in deep. On the puck is Alex Boner for the Cougars, joined out there by O'Neill on this line. It's played up the center. That's right in the stick by Dixon, but Dixon bobbled it. And Robertson thought he had a break there, but the puck came back over the blue line. It's going to be an offside charge against the Martello Bandits. Now just under 7 minutes to go in this second period. Martello with a trio of goals in this frame, all coming about 5 minutes apart earlier in the period, just before the midway point. Drew Cameron added his second of the hockey game. Maximus Young, and with the latest goal, none other than Maddox Burke, the leading goal scorer and point getter on this hockey team. And that's where they stand now with a 2-goal lead, but still lots of hockey left to play. But the Bandits have been in the driver's seat all second period long. Going toward the net, they score again! And let's see who got that one. I missed who finally put it away there at the end. It was Jonathan Stewart who got the stick on it. And that will make it a 3-goal lead for the Martello Bandits. That's their 4th goal of the period. And it's been a meltdown for the Cougars here in the last 10 minutes or so of play. They were up 2-1 heading into this period and have given up 4 goals in the last 8 to 9 minutes roughly, as the Bandits have come out to play here in this period. Jonathan Stewart has only played 12 games this year for the Martello Bandits, scores his 3rd goal of the 2025-2026 campaign. This game is getting further and further out of reach for the Cougars, who still have 6:31 left to play in this second period. Cougars forced to call the timeout there. And they'll have the draw at center ice here. Martello firmly in the driver's seat. They've found a way to really fill the net here. And you'll see one thing in common on almost all of their goals. Just absolute chaos in front of the Cougars' net. Every time they go to score, almost like the opposition is unsure where the puck is until it is too late and in the back of their net. Martello, very aggressive forward-checking team, very in your face. Cohen Geezer takes it down the ice. Geezer has a goal tonight for the Cougars in what has turned into a high-scoring game. 7 goals in total, 5 of them coming to the visiting Bandits, who are up and rolling in this period. It's back to Sam Graves down in low for Geezer, who's engaged in puck battle with Cameron along the wall. Sam Graves' slapper will hop off the ice and wide of the net as it missed altogether. Graves will pick it up at the red line, looks at his options. He's going to break in before taking the hit from Cameron. Will curl it into the zone, but is recovered there by the Bandits and taken down. Braxton Robertson is into the zone. He's trailed there by Enzo Chandler. Chandler is going to lose it, and Kellen Buckley will lead it down the other way. A 3-on-1 materializes for the Cougars. They're in. Zenon Parks, tight angle. Oh, he double hit it in front of the net. A great opportunity by Wyatt Wilson. From my angle, it looked like he stopped himself from scoring. He had gotten the shot off, and it's hard to explain without the instant replay, but he double hit the puck as his own stick flung in front of the puck and knocked it out of the way. That close to the Cougars pulling it back within 2, but that is not the case as it remains 5-2 for the Bandits, as one of the Cougars' best opportunities of the period. And there's going to be a penalty coming up. Jackson Camus was hit in the face mask area and the arm is in the air. Jerome Doucette bolting to the players' bench for the Bandits, and the 6th attacker is on, but that'll only last for another second as Kellen Buckley touches up for the Cougars. And life does not get any easier for Joneljim in what has been a second period straight out of a nightmare for the home team here in this first game of this weekend back-to-back against the red-hot Martello Bandits from Bedford. And things keep coming up Bandits in this period as they'll get another power play. They're 2 for 3 on the man advantage this evening. They scored in their last opportunity. Both power play goals coming from Drew Cameron for Martello this evening as the Cougars win the draw and get it down the length of the ice. That'll force Braxton Robertson to come out with it from in behind his own net. Another goal scorer for Martello, Maddox Burke. Burke's had a good night here so far, as for the most part he always does for this team. One of those offensive leaders, you never know what he's going to do next. Robertson plays it over on the far side to Jackson Camus, manning the high side point on the far side of your screen. Robertson and Camus trading passes back and forth. It'll work down in the corner for Maddox Burke. Burke emerges from the close side hash marks. Robertson with it at the top of the slot. Down low for Camus, tight angle, and he might have caught the edge of the net there, but it was the wrong side of the goal post and will roll wide. Trying to work the puck up high is Drew Cameron, who's in his favorite position toward the goal line, where he likes to clean up the trash. He's on hat-trick watch here tonight, as mentioned. Down low is the defenseman, Nathan McLean. Although he is a defenseman, the Bandits station him in the net front position during the power play. Jackson Camus going in one-on-one. Very good in those one-on-one situations. He's going to step back and buy some time. 35 seconds left on the Bandits power play. Burke spins around. Camus! Oh, what a save by Lane Wambach. He needed one of those stops, and he's made some excellent saves tonight. Really hung out to dry here on a few of these Bandits goals here in this second period, where Martello has found a way to continuously fill the net. But Wambach won't allow any more, at least not right away, as he makes a huge save on Jackson Camus there toward the tail end of this penalty against Joneljim's Wyatt Wilson. So the draw is won by the Cougars. It'll roll right back into Wambach's glove. And we'll redo the draw to his left. Second attempt at the face-off. It is won by Linus Braun, but he fails to clear it. Back to the point for Liam Labuki. He was down with an injury in the first period. Good to see him back in the game for the Martello Bandits. Going in down low there. A rough and tumble matchup with Nathan McLean. The Bandits captain, the center of it. Liam Labuki lets it rip from the point, and Wyatt Wilson is out of the box for the Cougars. A big penalty kill here for the Joneljim Cougars' hopes here in this hockey game as they return to 5-on-5 action. Battle ensues. There's a Bandit in the middle of what was a trio of Cougars players there. Linus Braun will back off and attempt to skate the puck out of the zone. He's going to fork it up there. He's looking for Ty Timmins up the wall, but is held in by a Bandits defender. Trying to throw that toward the net was Beckett Schlender. That's off a skating wide. Alex Boner goes off the glass. Just enough mustard to get that up and out of the zone. Ty Timmins, the lead forechecker, but there's some tired what were penalty killers, and they're going to get caught here. 2-on-1 for the Bandits. Beckett Schlender over to the far side. Enzo Chandler had a great look. He already has 2 goals on the season against the Cougars. This was in their last meeting on October 26th in Cole Harbour, a game that the Bandits won by a 4-1 score. Chandler hasn't scored tonight, but that was his best chance. Their final meeting of the regular season here will come tomorrow in the second half of this back-to-back weekend series in North Sydney. It is relayed up the ice, right up the middle off the stick of Parks. It's going to come all the way back around. Lane Wambach is out of his own net to pick that up. He'll retreat just in time. And it's up the other way. A 2-on-1 is going to form here. Geezer on the saucer pass. Kicked aside by Doucette. A great chance for the Cougars. Right in on top of it was Zenon Parks, who tried to finesse his way around Doucette, but he was ready for that as he closed up the wickets to prevent the Cougars from getting any life here very late here in the second period going into the room. If you're the Bandits, that's most likely your objective right now, to keep it quiet, keep the Cougars from getting any semblance of momentum. They've been killing that prospect for the most of this period, but the Cougars are putting up a good offensive zone shift here now, and it's out the line, picked up by Peyton McKenzie. His first game of the season for Joneljim. He's in the lineup as an affiliate player on the blue line tonight. 10 seconds left. One more chance for the Cougars in down low. Cohen Geezer was driving the net. He's going to throw a couple of sticks at the Bandits player Levi Harris, who he is tied up with earlier in the period. But that'll bring a close to the second period of play here in North Sydney. And it's all Martello Bandits here now. They score 4 times in a 9-minute span in this middle frame and go in with a 3-goal cushion into the third period here in North Sydney. They lead by 5-2. And we'll be back here on High Button Sports in about 10 minutes after the Zamboni flood here at Amera Center Northside. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Well, hello everybody and welcome back to North Sydney for the third period of this Nova Scotia Under 15 Major Hockey League matchup between the Martello Wealth Bandits of Bedford and the Joneljim Cougars of North Sydney Cape Breton here in this third period on the High Button Sports. 5-2 the score after 2 periods of play in what has been, at least in the last 15 minutes of hockey anyway, has been all Martello Bandits. They've scored 4 consecutive goals. Drew Cameron, Nate O'Coin, Maddox Burke, and Jonathan Stewart all finding the back of the net in that second period. That was Cameron's second goal in particular of the hockey game. He had also registered one early in the first frame, and in what was looking like a dramatically different situation at the end of the first period when the Cougars were up by a goal after 15 minutes of play. The Bandits have completely turned everything on its head here and find themselves down by a trio of goals with the Bandits right on top of them again. Good early save there by Lane Wambach. It's going down the other way. It's Cohen Geezer leading the rush. Geezer will break in on the right side and tried to cut toward the net. He's pushed off the puck, back to his skates, and he was denied by Jerome Doucette. The Bandits were pleased with that after a big hit was thrown on Geezer in front of the net there, and perhaps a few people in the building wanted a call. Not going to get it as it comes back to Sam Graves at the point. Graves is tied up with a Bedford player there, and he might be going to the box. It's going to be a head contact penalty signaled here by the referee. I believe it's actually going against Martello instead. We'll see who's going to the box here, but the Joneljim Cougars are going to go to the power play for 2 minutes or less. It's Maximus Young taking a head contact penalty in that play. An early third period power play, a chance for the Cougars to get back into this hockey game, but immediately out with it is the penalty killer, Joseph Ayotte, for the Bandits, who will get it all the way down the ice. Going to pressure Linus Braun very closely, coming out from in behind his own net. It's Ty Timmins coming up with it. Ty Timmins hits the brakes at the far side half wall. Back to Linus Braun. Braun to Dylan Berry to Timmins, and he's knocked off the puck there. It was Nathan McLean with a good alert stick on the Bandits penalty kill, and they're going to shoot it down the ice. Another minute 25 to play early on this Cougars power play. They're in desperate need of one here in this hockey game to get back in this one. Ty Timmins enters the zone up for Avery Johnston. Johnston with power play goals in each of his last 2 regular season games. Swung up along the glass, and it comes out easily to a Bandits player. Schlender tried to make an extra move, but gave it away at the line to the Cougars. It's given away again in the slot as Sam Graves settles things down in the Bandit zone. And right in the slot again, driving the net was Timmins, and jamming at it off his point was Dylan Berry in behind the net for Avery Johnson. It's a one-on-one battle, and the Bandits killer fanned on the shot. Still 42 seconds left on the kill. The Cougars not really getting organized, but keeping it in the zone nonetheless. And it finally gets across the line as Beckett Schlender will come out with it, but he didn't quite have the step up on any of the Cougars. So Joneljim will take it back as some tired power play specialists will head up off the ice and to the bench. And that'll be thrown right on net toward Jerome Doucette, who will opt to cover it as Lachlan O'Neill came flying toward him. 17:15 remaining in the period. Another 14 seconds left in this power play to Joneljim. Shots are 32-27 in favor of the Bandits. They've been directing a lot of rubber at Lane Wambach's net tonight. Draw is won by the penalty killers. Bandits attempt to flip it down the ice, but is held up at the line. Cohen Geezer will rim it up and around A lot of heat on that one. Finally, Dylan Dixon will slow it down. He found on the shot. Second attempt came out just as Young was stepping out of the box for Martello, and it skipped toward Young, but he opts to go for the change at the bench instead as Camus is pinned to the boards by Geezer. Geezer will wait toward center ice, waiting for that pass from Zenon Parks. So it works back to Parsons for Bedford. Cale Parsons was pressured closely that time by Parks. Camus settling things down at center ice and will dump it in. But he was on the wrong side of center. It'll come all the way back down to the Bandit zone for an icing call. 16:26 left in the third period here. Big early period penalty kill for the Bandits, trying to preserve this 3-goal lead they have tremendously built up in that second frame, really exploding in the goal column. So Cougars look to have won the draw there initially, but it is the Bandits who are indeed out of the zone with it. Came over to Ayotte. It was through his legs as Dylan Barry threw it in behind the net. Doucette is out of his crease to play it. A high pressure forecheck coming on from the Cougars. And Joneljim will get the puck back. Vinny Sims had it at the line, but it took a wrong spin on him. He'll have to retreat to his own blue line. Sims looking at some options. Couple looks, couple fakes. He's going to have to go way behind his net as Ayotte is right on top of him. And what is a relentless forecheck for the Bandits that has led to a couple of their goals here tonight. Between power plays, forechecks, and odd man rushes, that's done most of, if not all, the work for Martello this evening. As Alex Boner was in pursuit of that puck, but he is trying to split between a pair of Bandits defenders. Alex Boner got the puck on a stick and got the shot off on a very tight angle against Jerome Doucette, but Doucette will freeze it and buy a change for his line mates and get off the ice with 15:27 remaining in this hockey game. As mentioned, these teams playing here tomorrow, bright and early Sunday morning at 11:15. You can catch that one right here on High Button Sports, as well as all the games on the Nova Scotia Under 15 Major Hockey League schedule for the rest of this season. After the Cougars play that, they will play a series of away games. They will embark on a 4-game road trip starting in Truro against the Bearcats on January 24th. They're not back here until February 7th in North Sydney when the Dartmouth Whalers come to town for a 2-game weekend series. Meanwhile, the Bandits will return home next week to the Greenfoot Energy Center fourplex in Bedford, where they will welcome the Rangers to town. Here comes Maddox Burke on the toe drag. He is knocked down in the slot area, as is caught there easily by Lane Wambach, who tracked the shot all the way in. 14:46 remaining in the period here. Cougars, just before the East Coast Ice Jam break, had also fallen to 9th in the standings. The Bearcats, who they lost to earlier in the season in a shootout, jumped ahead of them. Bearcats now lead Joneljim by 2 points in the standings, 23 points to 21. And remember, in this league, a regulation win is 3 points. So if the Cougars can muster up 4 goals of their own this period with a response, they can jump over the Bearcats in the standings. But a lot of work to do before that happens for the home team here, as Cohen Geezer will take it in. A goal and assist tonight for number 10 of the Cougars. You can tell when he's on the ice for his team, always making something happen, whether physically or in terms of finding his way onto the score sheet. They really missed him in these last couple months here in North Sydney. As a good pad save by Lane Wambach. It's a good individual effort by Braxton Robertson, the defenseman. Not the biggest player on the ice, but very shifty and agile with the puck on his stick. There's a reason he gets the responsibilities for this team that he does. As Zenon Parks cuts to the middle, tried to swing it in under Jerome Doucette, but Doucette got the stick down, knocked it off to the side. So we've seen Zenon Parks do that a few times this year, go in the individual efforts. He is not afraid to back down, whether it's 1-on-3, 1-on-4, whatever it may be for number 24 for the Cougars. But Joneljim is pinned in their own zone here. Sam Graves coughs up the puck, and that almost took a funny bounce in behind Lane Wambach, but it comes out to the corner and finally out of the zone and out of harm's way for Joneljim. The Bandits player missed his pass, and Graves will throw a hit along the boards. Max Burke's going to come away with it. It's a 1-on-2 with Young, and a good alert stick there on the back check by Luke McNeil. Luke McNeil is up with it. He's joined on the rush by Alex Boner, but he's a little too ahead of the play as he thought about driving the net there. Bandits players completing a change, as are some Cougars. 12:50 left in the period. 5-2, still the lead for the Bedford Bandits in this first of two doubleheader games here in North Sydney this weekend. Big hit thrown there on the line with Ty Timmins going to the ice. Timmins right back into the play. Trying to fight with the puck, drops back to Wyatt Wilson. Wilson was dealing with a bobbler there, so didn't come off his tape very cleanly. Jackson Camus will come to the zone. 1-on-1 against Linus Braun. Braun will rub him out of the play. Cougars take it out. Reversing the line, Vinny Sims going again up on his own, and who else throwing a big hit for the Bandits? Marshall Hayes, ever the physical presence on that Bandits blue line, always making some of these Cougars players think twice before going in 1-on-1, as he's really been throwing that body here this evening, as that puck will go up and off the glass and out of play here in North Sydney with 11:53 remaining in this third period, and the Bandits clinging on to a 3-goal lead. Draw was in front of the Bandits bench. It'll pop over to Cohen Geezer, who takes it in for the Cougars. Geezer back to Graves. He is checked off the puck there by Burke. It's going the other way. Burke was up with the head of steam, but did not win the foot race, and Graves will come back to relieve his teammates for the Cougars. Avery Johnston steps across the line. His shot is wide. Rolling around to Geezer. He's in a collision there, and he'll squirt up to a Bandits player. In with it is Maddox Burke. Burke looking for that backdoor pass. Initially driving the net was Enzo Chandler. He was tied up there on the back door, though. Couldn't get a stick on it. Burke camped out in front of the net. Chandler is fishing for it in behind Lane Wambach's goal. And the Cougars are out with it the other way. Sam Graves, toward the end of a shift, will throw a big hit in behind the play there. Seemed pretty frustrated by that as Chandler tried to walk in. A good alert stick there by a Cougars defender to keep that from turning into much else. As Linus Braun will come up and out with it, and Braun is tripped, and the call is made by the referee, so the Bandits will go to the box for a trip, as Braun was going to skate up the ice there, and Braun is slow to get up. He's not quite back to his feet yet. He might have caught it toward the knee. He is sore, and he's one of those go-to defensemen for the Joneljim Cougars. He's not a guy you want to see lost, but he might just be a little stung as he'll head to the bench. Guilty party on that is Drew Cameron. He'll sit for 2 minutes or less on the trip with 10:48 left on the clock. Just over half of play to go here in this third period as the Cougars win the draw on the power play. They scored twice in the man advantage tonight. Almost popped to Sam Graves. Avery Johnston digging for it, and Geezer was at the back door, but the Bandits get it out of harm's way before it finds its way into the back of the net. It's all the way down to the other end of the ice. Right in the middle of the play was Stewart, as jumping right back out into the play is Linus Braun. Braun seems to be all right after all for the Cougars. A good sight to see. Down in the corner for Avery Johnston. It's out there with Sam Graves. Graves manning the half wall on the close side. Braun up high, goes over to Dylan Barry. Barry off the stick of Johnston. Cohen Geezer is parked in front of the net. He thought about going for it, but we'll leave that task to Graves. The three defenseman attack here on this power play for the Cougars. We don't see much of this at all in this league, let alone many hockey leagues. Three defensemen, two forwards out there for the Joneljim Cougars, but that was the case there. One of those forwards, Cohen Geezer, is hanging around out there as his line mates go for the change with 53 seconds left on this power play. Lachlan O'Neill was in pursuit of it, but he's going to lose it, and the Bandits get it down the ice. as the Cougars power play continues. Not for much longer though, only 40 seconds to go. Right in first on the forecheck, that's Joseph Ayotte. Throwing a check along the boards in behind the Cougars net, but Joneljim is out with it. The pass is errant though. It's shot back down the ice again onto the stick of Ayotte. Joseph Ayotte going in 1-on-2. He's challenging Braun. That is up high into the chest pad of Jerome Doucette. There's a play in front of the Bandits bench in behind the play. Coaches don't sound very happy about that. Nonetheless, no more calls on the horizon as 7 seconds remain on this Cougars power play. Walked up over the line. That was into the feet of Lachlan O'Neill. O'Neill will challenge for the puck now, going up against Nate O'Coin, or rather the defenseman Levi Harris. O'Neill was down there in that corner as the Bandits come out with it as we return to 5-on-5 play. Drew Cameron, he has 2 tonight, looking for that backdoor pass to Maximus Young. Young couldn't get the shot off. Cameron, the big forward, will muscle his way out in front of the goal line and gets it back to his defenseman McLean. McLean toward the net. That was in the feet of Young. Camped out up top is Hayes. Hayes returns it to Young behind the net. A Cougar goes down the corner. Ty Timmins is kicking and screaming at that puck, and it's a backhand opportunity in close and favoring something. There is Jackson Camus, who is out on an intense forward shift for this Martello Bandits line as Kellen Buckley is in alone. A breakaway out of nowhere. He's going to take a heavy hit from behind, and the arm goes up immediately from the official here. And Bedford going back to the penalty box this period for the third time this third period, I mean to say. Cougars going back to the power play. The Cougars wanted more of a call on that. I think it was only a 2-minute minor. It was a very intense hit. Only 2 minutes showing on the board, going up against Marshall Hayes, the defenseman. They want more from the referees, even as they line up down in Bedford's end, far away from the Cougars bench. You can still hear the coaches here in North Sydney still yelling as Braun throws that toward the net on a wrister. An easy save for Jerome Doucette with only 5 minutes elapsed in this latest power play on a penalty to Marshall Hayes on a boarding call. Colin Geezer wins the faceoff for the Cougars. Braun plays over to Dylan Berry on the far side. That 3 defense, 2 forward power play attack. And the return pass is errant for the Cougars and is shot down the ice by the penalty killers. Over his net, the play is Lane Wambach. Up for Braun. And now Sam Graves. Graves, he has a goal in the power play tonight from just about that spot, actually, as he tried to swing it out in front on the second pass attempt, looking for Colin Geezer at the back door. Geezer headed, and he'll get up for Braun. Over to Dylan Berry. Head lost on his feet. Back to Braun at the top of the slot. Looking through a lot of traffic there, and Doucette was unable to handle it in net. Works back to Graves, and now to Braun again. Braun on the backhand spinorama over to Graves. Scores! Puts it under the glove of Jerome Doucette, the captain's second of the hockey game, and you can tell he's fired up about that one, as the Cougars are not ready to go away yet with just under 7 minutes to go in regulation. It's now a 2-goal game, 5-3 in favor of the Bandits. A big one for Sam Graves, his second of the game, second on the power play. Cougars scoring all of their goals this evening on the man advantage, and they convert again. And a big goal for them at this juncture in the hockey game if they want a fighting chance of coming away with even at least a point or two in this one. Linus Braun up with it. Only takes a couple of flicks of the stick at this point if you're Joneljim. We've seen that this game. They score a couple of quick ones in the first. That's all they can hope for now as they take the play right back to the Martello Bandits in their zone. But it'll go back out to the neutral zone. Alex Boner attempting to deflect that in, but it's picked off by Parsons of the Bandits. Parsons is looking for that outlet past Enzo Chandler, but he mishandles, and Sam Graves back in the zone. He has a pair tonight here for the Cougars on hat-trick watch as well here on home ice. Luke McNeil had it on his stick for a second for Joneljim, but the Bandits are back out the other way. That's Maximus Young going for a skate. Young cuts in, went from backhand to forehand as he picked up a head of steam here, and he can really skate with it. As it is covered up by the Cougars. Draw coming to the left of Lane Wambach, who made an important save here late in this third period. Just over 6 minutes to play here in the third frame. Shots, a very high shooting affair. Seen 73 shots in this hockey game. 38 for the Bandits. Now 39 with that one. If the scorekeepers here count that as a shot on goal. But that's compared to 35 registered by the Cougars. So no slouch of a hockey game for either goaltender despite the goals allowed. Could have been a lot more in the nets of these teams as Zenon Parks will come out with it. He's in. Oh, he hit the post with that one. He tried to go far side on Jerome Doucette. An excellent chance for the Cougars, who now go offside as Parks made a subtle little move there to sidestep the Bandits defenseman, and it bought him just enough room to get a very quality shot off on Doucette. And Doucette, he knows he was beat on that one. He was recouping there in the crease, but got some help from his buddy Mr. Post in the net. And it stays out, and the Bandits hang on to a 2-goal cushion here, but they call it the most dangerous lead in hockey, and of course for no reason. This is still anybody's hockey game here now. The Cougars got to keep the pressure up as Braun tried to flick that back up into the zone, but it is off a Bandit and out into offside territory against Joneljim. Now 5.5 on the clock here at the Americenter North Side. As mentioned, you can catch the second game of this doubleheader here tomorrow morning at 11:15 here on High Button Sports. Team's third and final meeting of the season. This is dumped in by Geezer. Linus Braun throws that in the direction of the net. Doucette will freeze it for a face-off to his left. Cougars 4-2 at home this season. Trying to keep that from becoming 4-5-2. They've won 2 of their last 4 here in North Sydney. Their last 2 games here at the Americenter North Side, they lost when the Halifax Wolverines were up here a couple of weeks ago. In their final home games of the 2025 calendar year, they had beat the Harbour Rage in consecutive games. Harbour Rage last in the league. Cone Geezer first on the puck, takes a big bump there by Robertson. Going to keep an eye on Lane Wambach in the Cougars net as we fall into the final 5 minutes of the hockey game. Time ticking down here for Joneljim. Linus Braun holds the line off the leg of Avery Johnston, and the Cougars couldn't contain it, but is slapped down the ice by the Bandits. So it'll be an icing call. We'll get another draw deep in Martello territory. There's still enough time here left in this game for a couple of goals. Can make all the difference here if you're the Cougars. Cougars not only fighting for the win, but some league positioning. Trying to move in for a tie or ahead of the Truro Bearcats for 8th in the league if they somehow manage to pull off the win here. And with the win for the Bandits, they can move ahead of the Halifax Wolverines for 4th in the league in the 12-team league standings. Right up on top of the net, Drew Cameron is playing with it. Now in there behind the goal. Cameron's in front of the net. Always looking for the back door as the puck came in loose against Wambach. Cameron, that's how he scored his first 2 goals of that hockey game. Very close to registering the hat trick and putting this game away for good here late in the third period. Bandits make a change, and up the ice with it is Maddox Burke. Burke joined there on the rush by Young. Burke will cut to the middle of the ice, but he's tied up there nicely there by Luke O'Neill. Or Luke Mugneal, rather. Around the board for Wyatt Wilson. Wilson jamming at it, trying to get off the boards. He failed the first time. He gets some support. Stretch pass for Zenon Parks. He hit a post a moment ago. Parks tried to get it up over the glove of Doucette, but Doucette makes a good save for the Bandits. Martello around the boards with it, picked up by Lachlan O'Neill. O'Neill drives the net on the backhand, tried to sneak it under the legs of Doucette. Made a big save from the net. Kellen Buckley was playing with it in the slot, but he couldn't get the release that he wanted. And Martello will get it up and out of the zone as Gregor O'Hearn enters the Cougars' defensive end. Out of his net, the play was Lane Wambach. He hasn't made an attempt to come out yet. 3 minutes now on the clock here, just over in North Sydney, as all hands on deck for the Joneljim Cougars, trying to salvage some sort of comeback attempt here with time winding down. Lachlan O'Neill tried to wind his way in. He was supported by Zenon Parks there flanking him, but it'll come out to the big defenseman Marshall Hayes. Hayes has been a presence oh so much in this hockey game, even picking up an assist on that second period goal that had been scored by Nate O'Coin, eventually getting credit on that one. It was originally credited to Burke as a good shot in close from the Cougars, but it ricocheted up and out of play, so we'll get a draw in deep. This is something we don't see often here on the scoreboard. 40-40 the shots here in North Sydney. A lot of rubber on net for both teams tonight. It's one thing, and consider a lot of shots for one team to get 40 shots, let alone two. A very offensively inclined game. We've seen that with 8 goals scored between these hockey teams tonight. The Bandits get it up and out, and avoiding the check, skating in the zone, Sam Graves. Graves enters the zone. Wambach waiting at top of the crease. He's going to go for it right as the Bandits get possession back, but there are now 6 skaters on the ice. No going back here for the rest of this shift anyway. For the Joneljim Cougars, Sam Graves was pushed back toward his own blue line. He's going to skate it in himself. 6 guys on the ice here for the Joneljim Cougars. Now in deep with it and falling to the ice. Ty Timmons had the puck. He's going to lose it. Trying to make a move. He fooled Braun. And up with it is a Bandit player. It's off the stick of Graves. He might have saved a goal there. This is a great opportunity for Nate O'Coin to try and put this game away. Less than 90 seconds left to go. The Bandits bench calling for some players to change as the Cougars try to establish some possession down low in the other zone, but they can't quite get it down. But there's a penalty behind the play, and a Cougars player lying on the ice toward the Bandits penalty box. Go and see what the call is here. And the trainer is out on the ice. We're going to take a quick break to see how everything is out on the ice. The trainer out to attend to a Cougar who is still down and hurt. Both teams are going to talk over their plays here with just moments to play. 1:13 on the clock here, the Emera Center North side. Only one goal here in this third period. Sam Graves struck on the power play. The defenseman with what he has shown to be a great scoring touch, his 7th and 8th goals of the hockey season. Now it is Cone Geezer who is hurt on the ice for the Joneljim Cougars. Of course, after missing him for so long to suspension, he is perhaps the last player you want to lose to something like this. Geezer is such an important part of this Cougars team. Getting some attention here from the trainer. Talking something over, but seems like he's finally getting up to his feet, which is good to see. He's up under his own power. But not sure if we'll see him again here in this hockey game, as that's a blow in this comeback effort for the Cougars, as they'll have to get the job done most likely without him, as he'll head down the tunnel. But the Cougars will have a power play with the empty net. And I think it's going to be a game misconduct called to Martello's Jonathan Stewart. Stewart had the 5th goal for the Bandits here this evening, but he's going to be assessed a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for the play on Cone Geezer. In to serve that penalty is Nate O'Coin. Will head to the box. But the draw will be to the right of Doucette. The Cougars prepare for their last stand here in this hockey game. Swung around the boards and comes back to Sam Graves at the line. 1:06 to play in this hockey game. For the line is Browner with Dylan Barry. It's the power play setup. Down to Timmins, who's parked in front of the net. Zenon Parks is on top of the crease too with Avery Johnston. And the play down low from Braun was picked out. And it's shot down the ice by Cameron. He scores! It's a hat trick for Drew Cameron here in North Sydney. As there's some words exchanged in behind the play between Zenon Parks and Braxton Robertson. But Drew Cameron, a big night for him up at the Emera Center North Side. His 16th goal of the season. He's already a top 10 scorer in the league. And he has had a game here this evening in Cape Breton, as that will pretty well do it for this hockey game, finding the empty net were the Martello Bandits to make it 6-3. I'll wind down this clock here with the draw at center ice. Play out the rest of this hockey game. One more scoring chance or two for each team. A very high scoring game. The 9th goal of this matchup. As mentioned, a lot of shots too. 41-40 are the shots in favor of the Martello Bandits. So a very action-packed matchup here tonight. But it'll be a 4-goal second period that'll decide this game in favor of the Bandits here in this first of 2 doubleheader weekend games in North Sydney, as we get a stoppage of play on an offside toward the Martello bench. 10.5 seconds now on the clock. Cougars are still on the power play, as that was a 5-minute major in a game misconduct assessed to Jonathan Stort. He threw a hit on Colin Geezer. I didn't see exactly what the call was. But nonetheless, that won't influence the rest of the outcome of this hockey game, as the Martello Wealth Bandits will extend their win streak to 4 and take care of business here in Game 1 at the Emera Center North Side. A 4-goal second period leading the way, as well as a hat trick from one of their big boys here, Drew Cameron, with a great showing here against the Joneljim Cougars, as the Martello Bandits take this one by a 6-3 score here in North Sydney. Very action-packed, very offensive-backed game. 6 goals for the Bandits, and then 3, of course, for the Cougars. 9 goals total, 92 shots. The final, as you see there on the scoreboard, 40-42. The shots in favor of the away team. And if that wasn't enough entertainment and scoring for you, well, we have it all here again tomorrow morning at 11:15 a.m. sharp on Sunday morning at the Emera Center North Side in North Sydney, where these teams will do it all again to close out this weekend doubleheader. Thank you for tuning in to the action tonight on High Button Sports. My name is Luke Diamond. It's been a pleasure to bring you this one. We'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning in North Sydney.